I am muted and here I am again now. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Tameka Ellington, and I want to welcome you all to another episode of Student Access 101, where we discuss critical conversations in the pursuit of equitable education for those students that are underrepresented. And so I'm your host, Dr. Tameka. For those of you that may not know me, I'm an educator, I'm a researcher, an empowerment speaker, and a lover of all things related to educational advancement and growth. And today's guest came to me through the magic of social media. And yes, I said the magic of social media. I had posted a post on my Twitter, and it was a post about meditation and how meditation has changed my life and has helped me evolve into the person that I am today. And this particular person saw my post, and it drew him in, and we began talking, and I learned a lot about the work that he has been doing with the organization that he works with. And it's been amazing to be connected with someone all the way across the ocean, all the way in Madrid, having the same kind of love, the love for meditation, the love for mindfulness. And so it's my pleasure and my honor to be able to introduce you all to my new guest. His name is Raymond Leonato, all the way from Spain. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you very much for having me, Dr. Tameka.
Yes, it's my pleasure. And so I'm going to read your bio so that everyone knows how amazing you are. So Ramon Leonato was born in Madrid in 1960. As a young boy, he was most interested in understanding the secret of life. Raymond grew up studying biology, chemistry, physics, and by 15 years old was already in college. He published his first research work in insect biochemistry in the Pergamon Press, Volume 10, on molecular genetics at 19 years old. So that means that Raymond Leonato is a genius, very smart man. In seeking answers to the secret of life, Raymond started with biology and molecular genetics, moved to theoretical physics, and finally landed in the area of spiritual unfoldment, or as some say, self-awareness. Raymond leads the educational programs of the International Foundation for Spiritual Unfoldment, a U.S. public charity with the mission of opening the heart of human beings to the natural goodness and godliness within. And that sounds like an amazing organization that I would love to be a part of. And so Student Access 101, I give to you my guest today, Raymond Leonato, all the way from Madrid, Spain. Thank you again for being with us today.
Thank you very much for having me also.
Yes. And so I found your bio interesting in that you spoke about wanting to learn the secrets of life as a young person. Can you talk a little bit about how you grew up? What was that like for you growing up?
Yeah, well, when I was a little boy, I always wondered about how did life come about and how did it work. And I was like 8 years old, and I read a lot of books about biology and cancer. I was very concerned. I remember publishing, doing like a study in those times when I went to school. People used to smoke in every place, including in the
Yes.
classroom.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
In schools, and I remember making a study, and in the homes and everything, making a study of how much people were smoking and how could this the secondhand smoking. And I did send that to the European invention. It was like a contest for young people, kind of scientific things, and I was not given any prize, by the way. But I already had an idea of something that became the law of the land of most of the countries. And I wondered how the cells the cancer cells suddenly went into rebellion, as one would say, and
Yes.
instead of doing what they had to do. And I was wondering what was the secret that kept everything together as it is. What was there that, so I tried to understand. That was what I was thinking when I thought about the secret of life. I was wondering what is there that keeps everything together, that keeps everything working nicely and together, and
Mhm.
why suddenly it doesn't, like with a cancer.
Yes.
and
Yes.
and I did put my mind in science in that respect. I searched for answers in science to begin with, as one would say. So, and I grew, studying. Basically, I studied and I went to school, and I studied and I went to school, because it was my passion was learning. And it was not until I was 20 and I became in love with this woman that I started to look for the secret of life in other places.
Yes. Wow, that's amazing. And so the secret of life. So what have you found so far as the quote unquote secret of life? What is the secret of life?
Well, the secret of life is what I did call that when I was a little boy. I mean, life is an experience. We all have an experience of existence. We are born and we wake up one day after the other. And every day when we wake up, we project in the screen of our mind a reality, which is, a projection of our memories, where what we tell to ourselves of ourselves, what we tell to ourselves of life. And we project that in the screen of our minds, and we consider that that is our reality, but that is not the reality, because that is something only you know.
Right.
Nobody else knows. And I wake up to another reality. And also that reality that you wake up every morning, that you make projections to the future, changes every day. In
Yes.
other words, when you woke up when you were 15 years old, you projected a reality and made projections of the future that the future is not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you woke up at 30 or 25, you projected a reality, and that was a different reality. And now you project another. And when you are 80, you will project another. And
Absolutely.
then you go and you end up in a hole 8 feet by 4 foot, 4 feet by 8 feet hole. And you have an experience of existence. It's like, and existence is so vast. The time that we are here experiencing existence, this manifestation, this universe, and what we experience is nothing. It's just, it's just,
Yes.
it's just nothing. So, what is the secret of life, or the secret of living? Well, it is in living really in the here and now, because it's the only thing you have. It's
Yes.
the only place you live, in the day you are alive. So the secret of life is based on learning to live well one day. Because if you learn to live well one day, you have learned to live well alive, because a well-lived life are many well-lived days
Yes. Yes. I
in a
love
life.
that.
So really the secret is, and it is in our Bible, if we are Christians, that take care of what the day of today brings, that tomorrow will bring its own problems. No,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
in Matthew 6, 24 to 36. So
Yes.
you could check it out.
Yes. Yes.
So basically, the secret of life is first connecting to your spiritual self, or the kingdom of heaven which is within. which is none other than the natural goodness within every human heart,
Yes.
which is none other than the force that pushes you. And from there, live your day fully. And
Yes.
the what we teach in our organization is to do that,
Yes.
in an efficient way.
Absolutely. And so, for those of you that are just now getting on, the organization that Raymond is speaking about is the International Foundation of Spiritual Unfoldment. He is a spiritual leader and educator, and that organization goes to various institutions and they offer meditative services, they offer teaching, and Raymond is one of the teachers. And what I think is really interesting is that being all the way in Madrid, you often have to fly to New York City because that's where the other location is, right? You guys have an office in New York, is that right?
Right. We in fact we had an ashram in New York that we did put it together just before before COVID started, and we managed to keep it for 2 years, thinking that COVID would end. And by the time COVID ended, we were out of money.
Yes, yes, yes.
So we have had to close that, although we have lots of teachers from the American Meditation Society, which is a sister society and charity in the US also, that are capable to follow all the programs that we do. And in schools, we've started to do things in schools in the US, but we've done a lot in Spain and in Mexico. In Mexico,
Yes.
we have just started, and in Spain, we have worked from schools that are composed, that have a lot of people under, that they are, in bad situations. For example, we have a program with the Federation of Gypsy Communities.
Yes. Okay.
And so there are certain schools where are schools that serve a gypsy community nearby. And so we have had programs in which we serve in those schools. We've taught meditation in prisons also.
Right.
We've taught meditation to victims of gender violence. So meditation is a good tool to deal with suffering. I mean,
Yes.
like what Buddha said, the Four Noble Truths. The first noble truth is that human beings suffer.
Yes.
The second noble truth is that the cause of suffering, in the Buddhist teachings, they call it dukkha, which we have translated it by desire, but it is not exactly desire. It is the attachment to this unreality that we project in our mind, and the attachment and this clinging to that future that we want. That is what makes you suffer. That's the cause of suffering, what you would call the little I. The third noble truth is that there is a solution to this. And the fourth noble truth is that the solution is the octuple path, the noble path, which is basically the discipline that you put in your lives of meditation techniques, of right thinking, of right action, of developing compassion, which is basically the message of any spiritual tradition of this world, from any
Yes.
culture.
Yes.
Really.
Yes. Yeah. And today, the reason why on Student Access 101, we're even talking about meditation is because in the United States, on May 20th is the annual meditation day, National Meditation Day. And
Mhm.
so I wanted to get a chance to offer some insight for those of you that may not be meditating, how meditation can improve your life. And so you talked about the fact that the first principle is that human life is also meant to have some suffering. And so in October of last year, the United States stated that the suffering from national mental health emergency amongst the youth is something that is a national emergency because mental health problems are at the highest that they've been. And so there's also been press, our newspapers, our news outlets that have been stating that our schools are not really doing what they need to do to fix this problem, that the schools are failing to combat this issue. And so the United States Department of Education developed a program called Supporting Child and Students' Social, Emotional, and Behavioral Mental Health Needs. And this plan focuses on social, the things that we do to relate to others. It focuses on our emotional, how we feel, and our behavioral. And the first thing that came to mind as you were talking about servicing individuals that are incarcerated or the gypsy communities, some of these are issues that I'm sure those underserved communities may be going through. And so can you speak to how meditation has been able to serve those individuals and support the needs socially, emotionally, and behaviorally?
Well, meditation and the program that we teach, which it's not only meditation like we teach you a technique that you do, but it's a full knowledge of the self program, in the sense that we teach people to understand how to understand their thought processes and their minds, and how their thought processes are related to their emotions, and how their belief system kind of patterns their reality that and the circumstances that they live in. And we teach them techniques that develop what we could call basic competences of the mind, like the capability of concentration, like the capability of visualization, like the capability of introspection. So those are kind of basic competences of the mind that if you train them, a concentrated person, even though he is not very, very bright and intelligent, will get a college degree.
Yeah.
An unconcentrated, very intelligent and bright guy will not get a college
Yes,
degree.
absolutely.
So concentration is an important basic competence of the mind that these techniques can unfold. But the techniques are not enough. The techniques, we could say, it's a 30% of the recipe. You need 10%, let's say, of auto-analysis, the capability of looking at yourself honestly and squarely in the mirror, and and accepting yourself fully as you are. And then you need another 60%, and that is the spiritual part, which is essential, which is realize that you are not separate, that you don't have a separate existence. You exist, but for you to exist, oxygen and the air has to exist, and flowers have to exist, and bees have to exist, so that they germinate the flowers, and then the apples exist, and the trees gives apple, and you eat them. So you are perfectly, you don't have a separate existence with the rest of existing things. And unfolding these spiritual values within that are common to every religion. So it would be like a non-denominational spirituality, because
Yes.
every religion will accept this kind of things, including people that are not religious, and just because it's something that is obvious.
Right.
And
Right.
understanding that is also important to unfold or open your heart, because what this society needs today is connecting with the heart. The mind has evolved very, very quickly. Technology has evolved very, very quickly. Everything is mind, 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 mind. And we are forgetting the heart. We are forgetting that kind of love is underappreciated. Love is,
Yeah.
it has all been just romantic love. It has been left for romantic love, not for
Wow.
love as the expression of the most inner depth of human beings.
Wow. Wow, that was beautifully said. Oh my goodness. You said love is underappreciated. And that is so evident in so many parts of our society.
Right.
When we think about, the things that are going on in our society now, I mean, the war, when we think about the poverty that many of people still face, and it's a underappreciation of love. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, yeah, it's a society that has become too focused on the mind and very uncompassionate, and hatred. It's fragmenting itself. We said about mental health. The 20th century, the problem was that the society was a neurotic society. The 21st century is worse because it is a psychotic society.
Mm,
Psychotic, the mental health of a society is the sum total of the mental health of the people. And a psychotic person is a person that has a delirium, which means that delirates unrealities. And we have so many deliriums going on these days, like the delirium that they would put you a microchip with your vaccine.
right, right.
That's a,
Yes,
that's a
yes,
psychotic delirium.
yes,
And many others of that kind
yes.
that are assumed by large percentages of the society,
Yeah.
which means society is in a psychotic state. And the psychotic state is the one that brings more suffering.
Wow.
Psychosis is a mental health that people that suffer it, it's like living in hell, really. It's like living in hell.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's a big problem of society today, and the only solution it has is individual by individual, because you cannot change that like with a law. You have to change individual by individual. And that's basically what we do in schools and with adults in Spain, in the US, in Canada, in the UK, in Denmark, in Belgium, in all the countries that we have presence. That's what we do. We teach this method. We call it the Path of Unfoldment. And we call
Mm,
it the Path of Unfoldment because it's more about, it's not adding things, it's more about unfolding yourself and opening your heart, because love already resides within you.
absolutely.
It's only occluded by all the opinions and all the mind stuff and all the blah 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 of the mind,
Absolutely. Yeah.
which is speaking garbage all the time. And it's a matter of opening, of cleaning, purifying the mind and opening yourself. And once you open yourself, it happens by itself. And I remember, for example, in this prison that we taught to the inmates, a big prison nearby from where I'm talking now. And we had kind of we were in several modules, but we were in this module where they were people that had 23 years and up of and one day one woman, we were getting in with the Tibetan bowl and the things that we use in a meditation class. And one woman in the queue getting in the prison that was going there to visit the husband said, "Are you the teachers of meditation?" And we said, "Yes." And she said, "Oh, this, I was just to tell you thank you very, very much, because my husband, he has changed so much since he meditates. He's another person. So I wanted to just tell you thank you, thank you, thank you very much for what you are doing." So, it helps people to open to what is inside. And
Yeah.
even in a situation where you are an inmate of more than 23 years in a
Yes.
prison, it makes you, it changes you as a person, and your family realizes it.
Right. Absolutely. And that's it's
And the
interesting.
program the program
Yes.
we have created for schools is a program that starts with 3 years old, that goes through, and is like in the schools, people teach them to know the external world: biology,
Yes.
chemistry, mathematics, using computers. And from the beginning, they are taught to know the external world, but
Yeah.
nobody teaches them to know the internal
Internal
world.
world. Yeah.
So we have created a curriculum to know the internal world from 3 years to high school.
Wow. And
And that
so,
is what we introduce in schools.
wow. And you mentioned something about looking at yourself, or what we have called here in the US, some people, and I'm sure you probably heard of this term before, to mirror work.
Mhm.
Mirror, like where you're
Yeah.
looking in the mirror and you're talking to yourself, and either, saying affirmations to yourself, or just working out whatever it is on the inside. And many people have a very difficult time with admitting to themselves their
Mhm.
own contributions
Mhm.
to whatever life situations they may be in. And so, I think that's really, really interesting. In regards to schools, how has the work that you all have done, how has it helped with schools in regards to, like, maybe schools that are challenged, schools that maybe have a lot of bullying, or
Mhm.
other things going on that does not promote this sense of self-love?
Well, in fact, we in the schools that we have worked with, we have followed a process by which we measured the with standard testing procedures, the amount of bullying, the amount of well-being of the class, the level of communication between students, with standardized European-based, questionnaires that the students would fill and the teachers would fill at the beginning and at the end.
Mm,
Our program, it takes like 4 or 5 years to implement it, because we implement it in all ages, no?
yeah.
And after 4 years, the differences are really incredible, because you are, particularly when you start measuring the students that have grown with the system, so that you know that if you compare the bullying that was, say, in sixth grade, of children that had not gone through the system, and 6 years later, the bullying that was there with the children that come from the first grade following this
Yeah.
system, which becomes part of the curriculum. It's another class, as they have the biology class, they have the knowledge of the self class, that is taken over by teachers of the school. We train the teachers, and then they implement the program.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And so, one of the things that I wanted to find out is, are you all working more with private schools or with public schools?
We work with both private
Okay.
and public schools.
Okay.
We work with private elite schools, with public normal schools, and then with schools in under served communities, like gypsy communities. So we
Yes. Yes.
cover the whole strata, the whole
Nice.
strata.
Wow. Wow. That's very nice. And so, in in certain instances, it's been said, there's a research article from Harvard University, from the Center of Education Policy at Harvard. It says that mindfulness has an intersection with cultural responsive teaching. In this approach, teachers are encouraged to explore and acknowledge their own biases while also being aware of practices that acknowledge and challenge systematic inequalities. And my question is, can meditation lessen this sense of bias or discrimination in schools? And the reason why I'm asking that question is because that's one of the biggest issues we have here in the
Right.
US,
Mhm.
is dealing with still discrimination, dealing with
Mhm.
biases in the
Mhm.
classroom.
Right.
And is there some way that possibly, if schools began to implement the
Mhm.
meditation or mindfulness into their curriculum, can
Mhm.
we possibly combat some of
Yeah.
those biases?
Well, I'm sure it would because, first of all, you train the teachers. And one of the main, pillars or foundations of these techniques is being able to have a non judgmental mind
Right.
and being able to see the other, and I will say it in Christian terms, as divine itself, as Jesus
Yes.
itself.
Yes.
When did you? Because you didn't give me to eat or to drink. When you didn't give to eat or to drink any other you met.
Yes.
So that is part, and developing this compassion is part of mindfulness training, meditation training. Opening the heart is the essence of meditation training. And obviously,
Mm.
the more connected to the heart, the more you see things from the heart, the less biased you are. We see beauty to things we love. We don't see beauty in something we don't love.
Mm-hmm.
So if you implement a system which is its main goal is opening your heart and thus making you a loving, kind person, naturally you will start seeing the beauty of every human being. And in this way, you will have less bias. One example that you see beauty, what you are in love of this person and you see no defect. Now you stop loving him and let him cough at the wrong time. So we see beauty in what we love, no?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
as this is one of the things that mindfulness brings, and it is practice, non-judging, which is again a spiritual teaching of every tradition.
Yeah.
Don't judge, and you will not be judged in our own
Yes,
tradition. So,
absolutely.
being that part of the teaching, obviously, and mindfulness and meditation, and all these techniques, basically what they are is putting those beliefs into practice. Because people, people say, don't do unto others what you wouldn't like to be done unto you, and everybody agrees.
Right.
But do they practice that?
Absolutely not. Not always.
Because if you practice it consciously as a technique, then obviously you would not treat someone with a bias because you don't like to be treated with a bias.
Yes.
You
Yes.
would not like someone to consider you less important because you are poor, say, eh? Because you would not like to be considered less good person because you are rich, no?
Right.
So, being these techniques a way of taking all these belief systems that come from spiritual traditions and putting them into practice, in effective practice, obviously the result is that what all religion teaches, which is love your neighbor as thyself, at the end predominate. predominates
Yeah.
in the classroom. And that makes the change, because what makes the change in the experience of life is how much love you experience in your life. That is
Yes.
in that little experience that you have of existence, that one day after the other, and one day is the last one. The difference between two experiences is how much love, how much I have loved. When you die, you don't ask yourself how much money I had. You ask yourself how much I loved, how much I loved. That is what you ask yourself.
Right.
Really.
Absolutely. Do you think that schools, because I'm trying to figure out how we can really get this out to more schools so that I'm a person that believes in mindfulness.
Mhm.
I took up a meditation practice for myself and mindfulness practice for myself probably about 3 years ago. And
Mhm.
I've been on this journey ever since, and it's
Mhm.
totally changed my life. And
Mhm.
I want to find out, how can schools get access to putting something like this into their curriculum? Is this something that has to be a school district wide decision, or can schools individually decide,
Oh,
or how does it work?
schools can individually decide, at least in Spain, in Europe, and in the US also. I mean, a school can individually decide that they are going to introduce this kind of programs in the
Right.
school. Obviously, a district can decide it for the whole district. Uh, the essence of making this in a successful way is creating a good training procedure for teachers, because the way
Yes.
that this is implemented in schools is through the teachers of the school.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's a matter of many school teachers know that this is a need. Many school teachers have the vision that they could be able to take care of this need. And what we have is a well thought, tried program that works. And we can train school teachers online also, although we have teachers that could do it locally in the US. But we have a panel of teachers that can train teachers locally. So if a school wants to train their teachers, we train their teachers, and then we give them all the material through the online platform that we have, and they implement it in the school, and we give them a consultancy support while they implement it
Hmm.
in the school.
Yeah. Wow. That would be, I could just, I mean, that would be like a dream to be able to have that in
Well, if
many
you want,
schools. Yes.
I can train you, Dr. Tameka, directly.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
created the program, so you will get a good trainer. I could train you, and then you can train many, many teachers all
Teachers.
around the
Yes.
US. Exactly.
I'm all for that. Oh my gosh. I would love that. I would love that.
Well,
Absolutely. Well,
uh,
we'll have to talk about that so that I
we'll,
can, get started with that. Absolutely.
we'll
I
talk.
would love that. I
Well,
really would.
I'm open,
Yes.
and I think it's a very good idea. And you have the profile to do it right.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially since, what I'm doing now is going into school. So I do a lot of empowerment speaking, and I
Right.
go into schools and I do trainings for teachers and things. And so this would be an amazing thing that I can include in the work that I'm doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
just say the teachers, by the way, we can train you. I can train you also in this program.
Oh God, I would
And
love
you will
that.
have all the material, because we have created different materials for the different ages, including books and videos and guided meditations and all sorts of things for children from 3 years old to grown-ups to high
Wow.
school.
Wow. And so I had the honor yesterday of participating in a Zoom program meditation session with you all yesterday. And there were some chants that
Yeah.
you were doing.
Mhm.
Can you let me know? Because I had never heard of those chants before.
Mhm.
And so what is the chant, and then what's the origin? Where did it come from? What's the meaning?
Right. Yeah. Well, this is a technique that comes from the Vedantic tradition, in which is, an Eastern tradition, uh, old philosophical Eastern tradition. The technique is based, first of all, it's a Pranayama Mantra, it's called. So it's a breathing exercise. You breathe in, and while you breathe out, you breathe out saying this mantra. So you breathe in,
Uh,
Aim Hrim Krim Chamundayevi Che Che. When you finish the Che, you
Finish
breathe
your breath.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you breathe in again, Aim Brim Krim Chamundayevi Che Che. So when you are doing this in a group, what happens is everybody is breathing at the same time.
Yeah.
Everybody is breathing at the same time. So this creates a connection to begin with.
And I felt it all the way through Zoom. I felt it. Absolutely.
Exactly. This creates this special connection. Now, this mantra, according to the cosmogonic tradition of the Vedanta, represents divinity as the feminine.
Mm.
In the Eastern cultures, you have the divine as the masculine and divine as the mother, the father god, and the mother earth, like Gaia, no?
Yes, yes.
So it represents the divinity as the feminine. In other words, is kind of the ground in which the seed of God grows, no? So it is said that was the sound that existed in the universe, according to Vedantic cosmogony, the sound that existed in the universe just after the Big Bang. So just after
Wow.
the Om was Aim Rim Krim Chamundai Vicheche. And it's
Wow.
like the extension of the mother, accepted the creative impulse, and then evolution started. So that is the
Wow.
cosmogony of that mantra. The technique is based on everybody breathes at the same time, and at the same time, when you are doing the chant, you are observing yourself doing it,
Yeah.
and you are moving these muscles, which are the muscles with which we articulate language, but saying nothing because you are emitting a sound. Aim, rim, rim,
Wow.
chamundai, vicheche. So verbal thinking uh, kind of creates a little distance between verbal thinking and the movement of these muscles, and then it is very easy to discard verbal thinking, and in this way it's easy to discard the thoughts that normally
Mm.
interrupt your meditation, and you go very deep into meditation afterwards.
Wow. Wow. So, Raymond, is there anything that we didn't discuss that you might like to talk about?
No, it has been a great pleasure to be here with you, and I really look forward to train you because I
I
think you
would
can do a
love
very,
that.
very good job. And the goal of our organization is really putting our grain of sand in bringing a little bit of heart to this troubled, turmoiled world that we are the first time in known history, at least in known history, that we have the capability of destroying the planet, not only through a
Absolutely.
war
Yeah.
and a nuclear war that we could do it that way, but because our activity has unbalanced the planet to a point that even climate could change in such way that we could create, a big catastrophes of who knows. So really,
Absolutely.
we need to bring back balance to this planet, and anything that is done in that direction, in the direction of the heart, we will support it.
Wow. Wow. Where can the listeners find out more about you? How can they get in touch with you and learn about your work?
they can go to meditationtechniques.org, and that's a website where they have a lot of material there, and they can register, and in that way they can contact me. That's a social network. They look for my name and they can send me a message.
Okay, so that was meditationtechniques.org.
Meditationtechniques.org. Yeah, right.
Okay. All right. And so during this part of the show, typically, since I'm a researcher and educator, I usually like to give a little bit of research behind how I come up with the topics and some of the necessary information. So when I was preparing for you, I had an article that I was reading about the benefits of mindfulness in the classroom. And so instead of doing that, what I would love to do is for us to end our conversation with a short meditation, if you're okay with that.
Right. Yeah. No
Yes.
problem.
Yes. So we are now going to have a short 5-minute meditation led by Raymond, and you can take it away and we'll
Okay.
complete that way.
So, first thing, close your eyes, sit comfortably. The first thing we have to do in meditation is sit comfortably. You want to be sitting comfortably with your back properly, in a chair that you want to be completely comfortable, stable, and comfortable. Once you feel that you are comfortably sitting down, you just bring your attention to your breathing. Let your lungs completely alone. Let them stop if they want to stop. Breathe in if they want to breathe in. If they want to stop again, let them stop. Breathe out when they want to breathe out. You become aware that the lungs breathe by themselves. You just have a light awareness that the lungs are breathing. You perceive the sensations that come from your body. The touch of the body with the chair. You perceive the volume of the room. And you just keep a light awareness that the lungs are breathing by themselves. When thoughts come to the mind, just observe the thoughts. Don't try to take them away. Simply keep a light awareness that you are breathing and let the mind do its work. Just ignore it. You simply perceive that the lungs are breathing by themselves. You bring now your attention to your chest. You perceive that with every breath, your chest slightly comes up and slightly goes down. You perceive distinctively the sensations that the body is sending from your chest. You feel what your chest is feeling. Within your chest, your heart is beating. You put your attention in feeling the beatings of your heart. With each breath, your chest slightly rises and slightly comes back down again. You feel the feelings of your heart. You allow that feelings to feel all your chest. The feeling of your heart is the only important thing you are interested. You just let everything else go. Bhurpuvah swaha tatsaviturvarenayam bhargo devasya dhimahi dhiyo yo naha prachodayat. Shanti, Shanti, Open your eyes slowly. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Raymond. It was wonderful to meet you. Have a wonderful day, and I'll be in touch.
Thank you, Dr. Tameka. Has been very nice to be in your program. Thank you for having me, and have a very nice day.
Bye. Have a good one.
Namaste.
Namaste. So thank you all. This was a very special program today. We had the honor of being led in meditation from Raymond Leonato. He is from the International Foundation for Spiritual Unfoldment. So I just put it on the bottom of the screen. So if anybody is interested in finding out more about the organization that Raymond is a part of, it's the International Foundation for Spiritual Unfoldment. So I look forward to being able to work with them more. Meditation, as I mentioned, has changed my life, and I'm sure that it will change the lives of many others. And so this particular episode of Student Access 101, I almost forgot where I was. I'm in such an amazing state right about now, but this episode was actually brought to you by Be the GOAT, Career Readiness Manual for First Generation Students and Young Professionals. This book has been doing amazingly well. I actually just sold 50 more of these books to a university out in Georgia. They have a TRIO program, and I'm going to be working with them to support their first generation students. My goal is to be able to provide critical professional development skills to underrepresented students. My goal for this year is to try to reach at least 1,000 students. And I am about a quarter of the way there. I am looking to continue working, and I would love for you to please join me in this mission. The book can be purchased on Amazon individually, or if you are looking to purchase in bulk for your school, please get in touch with me. My email is info@drtamekaellington.com. So if you want to buy in bulk, please reach out to me, info@drtamekaellington.com. And I would love to partner with you to get this amazing book to your students. And if you loved listening to this episode, please like it. You should be able to view it on Facebook, on LinkedIn, as well as on my YouTube page. Please don't forget to subscribe. I would love to have you as a member of my tribe, and together we can change the trajectory of equitable education for underrepresented students. And always remember, let's empower and let's educate, because there's no success without student access. Peace and blessings, and namaste.